Hey! Do you see that? Ta-da! It's my dream. It's my goal that I made in August. I've passed IELTS. The journey of active English learning was 1 year long, but before that, I had the whole life for just practice and starting of learning. I had a really long time of being at school, learning English in universities, but this year was really extraordinary. I would like to share you podcast with my English teacher about how I've passed this IELTS test and how was my journey look like.
Welcome to a mini podcast with one of my students who has been studying with me on and off with some breaks, but also rigorously studying by herself for a long period of time and with a lot of activity going on, and has had a very, very interesting process, which resulted in one of the best scores that I have seen in my IELTS teaching career, 8.0. Svetlana, welcome to our mini podcast.
Yeah, hello, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for making it. Svetlana, could you please share a little bit of background information about yourself? How did you arrive at the desire to take the IELTS exam about a year ago? Last summer, it was the summer of 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
I was thinking about going abroad for studying, and this desire, this dream wasn't so heavy, and I started only to search information, to search ways how to approach it, and my goal was to learn English for traveling, and then maybe after some period, like for future, to make IELTS. But you encouraged me to prepare for IELTS at the same moment, and I realized that it's possible to do something more actively. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that you actually did that, because look where it got you. Right. How do you feel now that you have gotten your IELTS results? Could you read out loud all of your band scores, like the latest band scores?
Yeah, sure. I was impressed by results. Final results are 8.0 overall. Yeah. And listening was 7.5 and writing 8 and speaking 8. My first speaking was 6. Imagine, like, in a week, the result changed on 2 points. And I also have made an EOR. It's an appellation process that allows to change the score if, like, to review the score. And my speaking was also 6.5, but I made a retake, and I don't need this score anymore.
Okay, well, I can imagine you are very satisfied, but did you have any kind of celebration when you got the 8 score overall?
Yeah, I had celebration during several days, and at the same moment when I revealed the score, I was in Uzbekistan at that time, and I was going to my teacher to give her flowers also. I had a teacher in Uzbekistan. My hands were shaking, my whole body was shaking. After that, I had several dinners for myself.
Definitely well deserved. Let's go back to the very beginning and talk about your level of English and level of confidence in your English back then in August or September when we were just starting out.
Yeah, it was surprisingly unconfident level of speaking, I should say, because I had a big period of break without any practice in speaking. It was very complicated to fit in this active learning, like to speak, to understand. But step by step, I began to make a success with understanding and interacting. I think listening was easier, as happens in common situations. And I think that writing still is the most difficult part, and I have never practiced writing before in comparison to other skills. To understand the structure and to practice, it is very important to practice. Yeah, I think that I didn't have any skills in writing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for a detailed take apart. Do you actually remember any of those first classes, like the first month or 2 months when you were just trying out for yourself the first variants of reading, listening, writing, and speaking?
Yeah, I remember our classes when I tried to understand in this space, all to, how to say, to digest all the information. And I made a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions
Yeah, I remember that.
because I wanted to be more informed about all the structure.
That is the good thing about what you've done, because it's a hallmark of a good student, and it's a hallmark of what gives you a good result. Given to everybody, like the basics. If you don't understand something personally, you ask, you get some ideas, and it helps you to boost your personal score higher than the average also. So that
Yeah.
was definitely a good thing. I
And
remember
also,
always expecting questions from you in difficult or not even in very complicated topics, just to make sure.
yeah, and also I like to make homework. And firstly, it was a lot of homework. Self-practice is really important because 2 hours per week, it's not that like...
I think it's hours, right?
3, yeah, I mean 2 lessons, 3
Yeah.
hours. It's not that base to be actively encouraged actively involved in the learning process, making homework, making self-practice, to find foreign friends. It also helps to have speaking practice as well.
Right. As we are now moving to the subject of study routine, what did you do on the lessons and as homework for the lessons? And what exactly did you do back then, like in autumn, or maybe your routine changed later? What were you doing by yourself after or between our classes, like you've mentioned
Yeah.
now?
It's quite a different process. In the beginning, autumn, I had a lot of breaks, and I also went to Sri Lanka for a vacation, and there I met a lot of foreign friends. I tried to communicate with them to improve my self-confidence in speaking. In other periods, I also tried to make homework, to solve tests. I had 2 apps with word learning, like Reword and vocabulary.com, I guess. And sometimes I practiced it. But after winter, like after New Year, I started to listen to podcasts by myself. It helped me gain a lot of additional words and structures from real English. Maybe after that, my listening became better and some other skills a little. Also, I have read some books about architecture. As soon as I'm an architect, it's interesting to me to explore this field and to gain a lot of vocabulary from that. Books help to improve reading score and maybe writing as well. The close of the exam, maybe in June, I had a lot of breaks in spring, I guess. And in June, I started to be afraid of writing because my was very weak. I tried to make grammar tasks in book about grammar in use. I realized that my grammar is very weak in writing, and I started to interact with ChatGPT and DeepSeek to correct my letters, to correct my essays, and maybe to remember some structures from that.
Did you mention the speaking clubs? Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, sure. Speaking clubs, I also attended them. It is quite important part. I think that I got a list of topics. It is expanded the list of topics after speaking clubs, but speaking clubs itself were very helpful to interact.
Okay. Do you have a particular memory of some lessons or classes or speaking clubs which actually were memorable and helped you so much that you remember them even now? Or it was mostly like the general vibe of all the lessons together?
No, I think I had these memories. Maybe for now it's complicated to remember by moment, but some lessons with discuss. Oh, yeah, I remember discussions. It is very interesting, like to discuss and to stay on different sides, to pick one side.
Debates.
Right, yeah. And you try to prove some information to other person if you even don't believe in it. It's very funny that you are in this mood that you need to prove something, and it becomes a real, yeah, you become not aggressive, but
Your English really activates.
yeah, it is really activating. And also some lessons with topics that I like. It is really memorable because some urban planning, green ecology, yeah, I like this. And these lessons, I was really impressed and I was involved in the process more. And
Mhm.
also I appreciate lessons with corrections of mistakes, like to fill the gaps. It's really important. Sometimes we need to gain information and sometimes to fill the gaps. Yeah.
So like the lessons where we actually exchanged or get some corrections on writing or speaking. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe cover some topics about listening and reading, like multiple choice, true, false, not given, like that.
Well, about the topics in IELTS, also like urban planning or like green topics that you have mentioned, I think it's important to understand that IELTS has a lot of topics, and every student, if they have some kind of interests in their life, the hobbies or just topics that they're interested in or something related to their job or education, everybody can find something that's interesting for themselves personally. And I think that strengthens the connection, even if you didn't get any urban planning topics on the real exam, the idea that there were some topics which are interesting just for you probably helped, right?
Yeah, sometimes it helps. When I get these topics, I become more active. Maybe sometimes I lose some vocabulary, and as soon as I'm so excited to speak about it, I can forget about everything. But anyway, it takes you, it keeps you in like active mood to learn something. It means,
Yes.
yeah.
And then we've had some classes in spring, did we?
I think we had classes all the time, but with 2 breaks or 3 breaks of months. That
Yes, and
November, in maybe January, and in May.
yeah. And then we had a final break starting from the end of July, the beginning of August, your final month of preparation by yourself and preparing also with the teacher and classes offline in the testing center for the last week.
This week was in the English school.
Could you tell me more about the last month without lessons and what were you doing? And also the last week, focus on what you were doing by yourself and on the extra classes, courses, or with extra, what else?
Actually, my exam was planned on 28th of August, so I had a month before it to prepare by myself. I was afraid of writing mostly, and I tried to interact with ChatGPT and DeepSeek to find vocabulary to correct my letters, to correct my essays. And I made lists of vocabulary for each type of part 1, like for graphs, for tables. I tried to remember these words. It really helped me. I had a lot of practice with vocabulary.com, with listening. I have made a plan for myself, like which gaps I have in my knowledge, in my skills. I had gaps in listening with multiple choice, as I remember. With reading, it was true, false, not given. I didn't differentiate it. And it's like not given and false. And I tried to have several tasks to practice about it. Also writing, yeah, I was writing a lot of essays and letters. And I tried to improve my speaking just during speaking like making speaking cards and maybe little communication with my friend that speaks English. Last week, I came to Uzbekistan. I even didn't plan to practice with some local school. I wanted to have a self-practice, but there was so many schools, English centers and that stuff. And I decided just to try to come the closest school to my hotel. And
Best decision ever.
yeah, it is really great improvement because you feel this atmosphere, you feel this space when everyone is studying and you want to study as well. And yeah, I had a teacher who tried to help me with all my gaps. And it was really heavy practice because we had lesson each day, every day.
How long did you study with somebody every day?
It was 7 days, like it was before my exam.
And how many hours?
a lesson was 1.5 hours, and I had a lot of self-practice after that.
Up to 6 total hours of practice every day?
Yeah, like that.
What were you actually doing during all of this time with the teacher and by yourself?
By myself, I have made homework that was given by teacher. And it was homework about speaking cards. I had a list of speaking topics and I tried to record my answers. It was like 10 speaking cards per day. It's impossible. But yeah, later we decreased this number to 5 speaking topics to make it more possible. I had several reading papers, reading tests to practice. Yes, false, not even. My teacher described me system and how to read the texts without repetition.
As I understand, there were also some writing and speaking tasks to do by yourself as well during these 7 days?
Yeah, I had a lot of writing, but we mostly focused on second part because it gives you more score. Yeah. If you achieve good grammar and structure in second part, you can increase your overall score in writing. But part 1 is important too. But I think there was more question about vocabulary. And yeah, I just was writing several essays per day, maybe 1 or 2. Also tried to steal the structure from good essays.
One very important specific thing here is, as you've mentioned about reading and especially writing, what was new and helped you? In the reading, you've mentioned that some question types, it's best to look at them first and then read the text for the first time, not to lose any extra time on going back and forth. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes we have several types of questions. For example, in reading, we have
matching, multiple choice, true, false, and gap fills.
Thank you. Gap fills are usually in the order of text, and you only need to find this place from which it starts. Matching is the thing that we need to read the question and find the first word in the text, and then
go down from there.
Maybe we need to read the whole text, and after that we can make matching. Yeah. And during the same reading, we need to find the place where filling the gaps take place, like when it starts, and maybe when starts some other yes, not given, maybe it is in the order too.
So it's basically to determine where in the text the answers for every group of questions will be located. It's important to navigate that. And sometimes maybe answering 2 or 3 question groups at the same time if they're mixed in the text.
You can answer some questions at the same moment, like headings. For example, when you read the part of text and it is heading that you need to find. And also, filling the gaps, you can make it at once. And after that, for example, after reading all the text, you make matching.
That is definitely a strategy that I need to consider discussing with my more advanced students. Absolutely.
Yeah, you just need to develop it logically because my explanation for now is unclear, even for myself.
No, I think I'm getting it. I'll see how I can refine it. And also very importantly about writing, especially the structural moment. As I understood, on our lessons, we usually aim for 2, but 3 points for one side and 3 points for the other side. 2 points is considered the necessary minimum, but for you, 2 points was the end goal. No more than 2 arguments, no more than 2 points for one side, and it already gave you the near perfect score, right?
Yeah, it was really insightful that I can write less arguments, but make it more logical and supported, like to separate it in different paragraphs. Like if we put 3 arguments in one paragraph, what we can write about them? Maybe some short explanation, short example, but no more, because paragraph is getting very busy. Yeah. But if you take one argument and you try to make an explanation in the next sentence, for example, you make an example and maybe a little conclusion even. And it is like a completed mini essay in the structure of the whole essay. Thanks to this understanding, I got more time, maybe my structure in the mind became better when I need to write only one argument each paragraph. So finally, I had 4 body paragraphs with 2 paragraphs with 2 arguments like agree and 2 arguments covering the side of disagreement, like that.
By the way, which position did you take in the essay?
I have taken agree and I tried to make it more strong.
Should we talk about the exam day itself? You can just say how it was. Which parts did you feel happy and confident about on the exam and which felt surprising or difficult? But like about the day of the exam before you got your scores, before the appellation process and before your one skill retake.
Yeah, sure. At the exam day, I had speaking first. It was 10 a.m. Yeah. And I had come to the exam center. Yeah, I was a little excited. I had shaken sometimes, but finally I was calmed during the process of speaking. I had a personal talk, like not online, not on camera. It was face to face. It was a woman who asked me questions and I thought that I have made great answers, but in the process, she re-asked me something. And I tried to explain the same in other words, but the thing was maybe that I needed to create other answer. It was my mistakes, maybe in some way, because I got the score of 6 on this speaking. And yeah, I think that after speaking test, I was satisfied by myself because I spoke better than previous days. After that, I was waiting for my main part. It was planned on 2 p.m. the same day. Yeah, I decided to walk in the park, breathe the fresh air and swim on the boat just to focus, just to have some rest before my main battle. And yeah, I came to the exam center again. I think that the whole part was very fast. I needed to think fastly. And in listening, I even missed 2 or 3. It is really important to keep the focus in listening. But in general, I was satisfied about my several parts of listening, especially about the last, because it was quite easy to fill the gaps. Yeah, I needed just to be focused. It was computer test and everything was explained before. Like I had several breaks between parts. I think it helped me refocus on the next part. Yeah, after that was reading. The main thing about it that I needed to read it fastly and to allocate the time correctly, because first part it's like an easier, but you need to make it faster, like not in 20 minutes, but in 15. The second part is like a middle. I spent 20 minutes on that and I had 25 minutes for the third part. It's very important because third part is usually more time spending and more complicated because you have scientific text. Yeah. It is very important to check answers also.
You've mentioned that there was a highlighting tool in the reading, like a marker.
Yeah, sure. I had this opportunity. You can highlight the necessary words and return to them in the reading process and in the process of answering. Some test centers really have this ability. Some don't.
I think it gives you a great advantage if you have this tool.
It is great advantage that allows you to focus only on necessary things and return to points in the text.
Thank you for the insight. Now the writing.
It was really challenging to fit in time because writing takes a lot of time, especially part 1. I spent 20 minutes on that. I wanted to make it faster, but to make a quality letter, it's okay. The most important thing is you need to leave time for checking. It is crucial.
How much time from 60 minutes did you spend on checking?
Around 15 minutes. Thanks to the structure, you become faster and you have more time for checking. During the checking, you can fix little mistakes that you didn't notice and rethink the structure, even like to change some sentence that would sound more logical. Yeah, I got graphs first. You said there is no preference in types,
Well,
but
you had a line graph
I had a line graph, I had a pie chart and
and line
pie
graph
chart.
combined. There are 6 types, and I'd say that all of them together are equally common, but because we have 4 statistics and only 1 map and 1 process, it's more common to have 1 statistic because it's 4 out of 6 rather than a map or a process, which is more rare. Was it easy?
I had multiple graphs, multiple
Mhm.
charts like that. It was challenging, but I managed
Well,
it.
you got the score.
Yeah, my part 1 was 7 on each dimension, each criteria. Part 2, it is really important to plan your arguments for a while, not for a long time. Maybe due to the lack of time. Anyway, I had 40 minutes, but it's very anxious when you need to write in this period, and you need to plan for a while, maybe for a minute. After that, I started to write by moment, like without any checking. Maybe I tried to cover all the arguments and create it by moment. And then when I reread I realized that I need to fix my mistakes here. And I got it.
And then suddenly the test is over and you're all finished. What was next? How did you receive your first results? How did you feel about why did you decide to appeal and take a 1 skill retake? How was the second speaking test different from the first one? And in the end, when you got your final results, how did you feel about them and how are you feeling about them now?
Okay. At the time when I got my first results, I was in another city just for traveling. I was in Samarkand near to the mosque. It was a really great atmosphere in the evening, and I got in the mail that my results are ready. It was the next day after my exam, like very fast. Yeah, and I have read that my pricing is 8. I have never believed that I can reach the score of 7 even, but 8, I don't know, was impressed, or it was like a God bless me. I don't know what's happened with this center. And my speaking was 6. I knew that I need at least 6.5 to attend some of my universities, to apply for some of them. And I realized that I need to make everything to change it. I need to stay in Uzbekistan more. I called my teacher. We discussed that. I was really impressed. I wanted to retake. I was happy about the opportunity to stay longer because I didn't want to return to my work. And I applied for other date for my retake. But suddenly during these weekends, my application was deleted. I made the payment, but my application was deleted due to the vacation of bank and exam center. And I needed to re-choose the date later. So I stayed in Uzbekistan for 1 more week. Yeah. And also I applied for that appellation process. And
How does it work?
you just go to the exam center or through the app you pay in the exam center or online. It can take from 1 day to 21, really big range of time to review. But I got my EOR in 7 days, maybe 5 days. For 1 skill, you need to pay as well. It's an opportunity to retake 1 skill. Just think that you don't need to retake the full test, but anyway, you need to pay for it and to plan another date. Fortunately, I had a close date to my first exam, and I came to the exam center again at 8th of September. And I just got another examiner. Fortunately, I was afraid of getting the same. And it was a man who was quite kind, but it turned out that he is like a first 9-0 band in Uzbekistan, and he founded his own school, but I wasn't so afraid of him.
Do you remember any differences between how you handled the first and the second speaking test? Did you feel it or not?
I think yes. In both times, I prepared my answers in advance. Yes, some answers, for example, for part 2, I can take any story from my background and put any story to the question. I made it both times. But in general, I've had more confidence in second time, and I also prepared some structures for the second time. Maybe it helped me. Firstly, I said, do work or study. And I said, currently I'm working as an architect. And second time I said, I have been working as an architect for 3 years. 2 of these years I was studying, and then it's more complicated structure,
More developed.
more confident. Yeah, you can make it in advance to prepare for simple answers in part 1, and maybe to practice storytelling before. Like, you can imagine, what can you say about this question? Like, describe a story when you met your friends and you remember exact story from your background.
Remember the same stories on the exam.
You can remember the same, not just to spend time thinking, what can I find in my life, in my background?
So it's not about learning words. It's not about like learning the text of the answer. It's about remembering the situations. Yeah.
About creating an idea, and you just, maybe you even practice this story. You can practice it in advance. It's not a 100% possibility that you will get the same topic that you practiced, but sometimes it works.
Well, it helped you, and then you got your final scores. And now we're here. So, well, which score you're probably most proud of? Your writing, which you got 8 on the first try. Yeah.
It was really impressive. I even had
a mock
test
test
before, and on these mock tests, I had 6 even a week before. My teacher encouraged me to make a mock test. It's really important to check yourself in the conditions of real exam, but it is like a fake exam. I got 6 even then, but it turned out that I can make more.
Stars aligned. Okay. And which parts of the previous year of preparation felt like they paid off on the real exam?
I think every part is really important, and I got skills in all parts thanks to your teaching, thanks to this year. As you remember, I had around 6 in all my skills, maybe 6.5, and I just improved all that during your lessons.
Yeah, I think we started with something around 6, checking our first scores in September. Yeah.
I think all skills in combination really important. As soon as listening was easier part, I think that we more focused on writing than speaking. But in first period, in first, I think half of a year, we covered all parts. You had a program that explains different parts separate, like first month for listening, second month for reading. I like the structure, by the way, and it was helpful for my first.
Well, yeah, you boosted your reading and listening scores in the end to band 7 also, right?
Yeah.
Wait, was it? No, band 7.5.
Yeah, in listening 7.5 and reading 7.
You actually still had some jumps in question-based, test-based parts with multiple choice and gap fill questions. But of course, the productive skills parts, they are the most impressive. They are usually the hardest, and it's unusual to have a higher score in them.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna impress not only me and you, but also the university commissions. Let's talk about the future. Now, a month or a couple of weeks after your test, it was all for a reason, right? It was all a part of a bigger plan of applications. What have you started doing, and what are you going to do next with your scores? What is the plan?
Yeah, I have several plans about universities in different countries. And I also applied for one scholarship already. It is DAD in Germany, because it requires early admission and high score in IELTS. By the way, it is maybe not the only. I had 2 universities which requires at least 7 in IELTS, but other require less. I will apply for other universities. This year is going to be for applications and my development in my architectural field as well. Getting a portfolio, taking part in competitions, maybe to take course in English. It is really great that I can understand in English now and communicate. It is really important to development after my application processes from September to January, different universities in different periods and scholarships as well.
Mhm.
And after that, I hope that I will get to some universities that I like. I also have Sweden and Netherlands in my list. I think that everything will be possible
When is the start of your semester? Do you want to start from the winter or from the next year's semester?
from
From
next year. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Well, I'll be looking forward to the classical selfie in front of university. That's the end goal. That's why we're doing all this. I have gotten an impression that the lesson that anybody could take out of this, your whole journey, sounds like that you have to have a balanced plan of your preparation, but you shouldn't be afraid to invest time, money, and effort, because it's not something that you can put on the lower gear. The closer the exam, the more time you have spent. You've given yourself time to rest, and I think it's also important in the breaks. But also, you have had lessons. You were studying a lot by yourself from the very beginning. You didn't skip homeworks. You were asking a lot of questions. You were taking a lot of extra work on yourself. And then the closer to the exam, the more extra work, and the 7-day intensive, like just focusing on IELTS and nothing else for 6 hours every day. It definitely paid off. Investing more time. You worked on the process of your appellation. You invested, I think one skill retake costs like half of a full exam.
Maybe more than half, but yeah, like that.
You needed to boost scores in one outlier that you didn't like, one skill where you thought I could definitely do better. And you did. You've spent more time, money, but now you have a really great score, and very few students can boast. So the impression that I get is that have a good plan, be ready to invest time, money, and efforts, your energy in it, and it's gonna pay off. But don't forget to have breaks. You've had some breaks, and not only they didn't interrupt you, I understand that they gave you more opportunities, like speaking partners in some vacations, or just ability to relax and reflect on what you have studied and then come back refreshed. Do you get that
Yeah.
impression?
Yeah, I get that impression. And if to say about the exact parts, you need to make your structure to save time, because time for checking is crucial, as I said, and also to improve your confidence, especially in speaking.
Yeah, confidence gives you better scores always.
And yeah,
So, yeah, these are, as I understand, the advices that you would give to someone just starting IELTS preparation. Pay attention to time management. Don't forget about it as a skill, and confidence. Is there anything else you would advise?
I think that understanding of structure helps to time management, because it is impossible to limit yourself without understanding of structure. But as soon as you got it, you improve, like you practiced it to make it faster, you manage better with time. And also, if to say about other parts, like listening, maybe, yeah, reading is also about time management, I think, and about attention. And listening is only about attention, that you need to focus in short period. Like, yeah, I think that also the important thing is practice of typing on the computer, on the keyboard. It is a lot of skills that you need to cover during your preparation. I was impressed by all the opportunities that IELTS preparation gave me, because I improved the confidence. I need to improve my thinking skills, like logical structures, and you will uncover a lot of things that you need to learn through practice. I think not only English, but other fields of your life as well.
So it's more like about what IELTS gives you outside of just the certificate. Yeah.
And also, yeah, and also that you need to improve to get the certificate.
Certificate. If you could go back and talk to yourself in August of last year before the start of your preparation, what would you say to yourself?
Just do it. Don't be afraid of anything that goes to your life, and take all the opportunities in communication, homework, and yeah.
Just one last little thing, that's the most important moment.
Yeah, you need to know for what you're doing, that if you have a motivation that you will apply to some university or you will make improvement in your life, it motivates you to make this IELTS, because the IELTS is not like final point of your journey. It's just a tool that will help you achieve something greater. Maybe it reduces the anxiety a little because you understand that you do this for your future.
Motivation. You can't really prepare without it. It's a long-term project, but if you have a good motivation, then you'll be moving towards your goal no matter how long it takes. Svetlana, thank you very much for all of your answers and all of the information given. I think it will be incredibly interesting for anybody who is starting out in the process or even wants to take their exam soon. I think your example could inspire a lot of people. Thank you very much. I also want to wish you good luck on your current application processes and hope that you can get all the financial aid options in all the universities so you can just pick the best options for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have never dreamt about this score. I hope that I will save this level. Maybe during these videos I will practice it. Thank you for watching this video. I'm really glad to share with you these ideas and experience. So I hope that you guys will one day decide to pass IELTS or some other exam in some other language. Why not? But it just shows that everything is possible. I think that in 1 week I made impossible things, such as improving the whole level on 2 points. Maybe just universe connected with me, and in August I was extra clever. For now, I just hope not to lose this level, not to lose this skill, and with this YouTube channel I will practice it and save the level of English. But just do it, yeah, as I said in my interview. Yeah. Goodbye.